Hello, I'm Peter Berliner. I'm a professor at Ilisimatusarfik, the University of Greenland. I want to welcome you to this presentation of the UArctic Network, Children in the Arctic, Local Knowledge and Sustainable Development.
Ilisimatusarfik is committed to the work requires as host, institution of the Thematic Network Children of the Arctic. And Professor Peter Berliner, the leader of the Thematic Network, has our full support. Ilisimatusarfik states a particular focus on indigenous cultures of the Arctic, with a clear focus on the rights and well-being of children living in the Arctic. The university encourages higher education that supports the priorities and needs of the circumpolar regions. It also encourages research on traditional knowledge in the Arctic and emphasizes including the voices of children and families that make up local communities, as well as the traditional knowledge and values of indigenous peoples. It would be our great pleasure to host the Children of the Arctic UArctic Thematic Network, and we look forward to supporting its continued work.
Hello, my name is Daryana Maximova. I'm a PhD in political science and I'm an associate professor at the Northeastern Federal University at the Department of International Studies. The purpose and goal of the project is assess and study in cooperation with experts from Greenland, Denmark, Yakutia, Russia, and Quebec, Canada, successful practices of sustainable development concerning children in the Arctic, taking into account the adaptation of indigenous traditional knowledge to contemporary conditions. Also, it is important to emphasize that the project is one of the part of the global project Children in the Arctic, which is in the Arctic Council Sustainable Development Working Group. And in our team, we have also from Russian side, we have Vice President of Indigenous Organization Raipon, Nina Visalova, and the project is supported by indigenous people in Russia too. So Children in the Arctic are a future of the Arctic sustainable development, of course. And from my part, my goal is, as a leader of Yakutian side of this project, to implement all our purposes and objectives in this project. Thank you.
I'm Professor Marianne Stenbeck from McGill University. The Arctic is home to Inuit, Sami, and Yakути, and many other Arctic peoples. These peoples all have a unique language, history, and culture. Many are indigenous, but there are also many non-indigenous Arctic peoples. The indigenous peoples have generally been negatively impacted by colonialism, banning their language and culture. In many areas of the Arctic, children suffer from intergenerational trauma as the impacts on their parents and grandparents are passed on. However, the positive news is that there is change. Children are in focus. New language and programs are being implemented. It is extremely important to have indigenous teachers and mentors involved and to decolonialize education. I recently organized a roundtable on Inuit traditional knowledge at McGill University as part of the project of Children in the Arctic. It took the approach that traditional knowledge is indeed relevant to contemporary life. The Canadian National Inuit Organization, Inuit Taparit Ganadami, states traditional knowledge is part of the National Inuit Education Strategy, which calls for an education system founded on Inuit societal values, worldviews, and beliefs, which represents important aspects of what it means to become an Inuarik, a real human being who can act with wisdom and use ancestral knowledge, skills, and attitudes to be successful in today's world. Indigenous educators and mentors are urgently needed, and this thematic network will work with Indigenous peoples and organizations in communities across the Arctic.
Hello, my name is Jette Reigard. I'm from the University of Greenland. In a project like Children in the Arctic, there is a need for community-based participatory research to include the voices of the local population and especially that of children. What is community-based participatory research? It is a collaborative approach to research that involves all partners in the research process and acknowledges the important strengths that each bring. It is an applied approach to quantitative and qualitative research. The important thing is to find a research topic that is important for the local community with the aim of combining knowledge with action for social or pedagogical change. CBPR builds on the strengths and resources within the community. It demands involvement and long-term commitment of all the partners, that all partners disseminate findings, that we integrate knowledge. It also involves cyclical and iterative processes, both in the local community and among the network, the research network in the different countries. It begins with true dialogue and creates empowerment from the inside. It has a goal to influence improvement and change. Its core values is trust, respect, self-determination, neutrality of interest, perspective taking, and reciprocity. There are a lot of challenges to overcome in CPBR, but above all, it is a necessary approach for a project like Children in the Arctic.
My name is Aviai Egil Lynge, and I'm the leader of the National Child Rights Institution in Greenland. In order to work with Indigenous children's rights, it's really important to work from the point that each local place has their own collective cultural code, values, and norms. To work with and for children in the Arctic requires understanding of the cultural context and creating methods from the knowledge and perspectives of Indigenous peoples in the Arctic. But it's necessary to have a strong cooperation between researchers, local authorities, practitioners, local communities, and children themselves. Because research alone is very difficult to create local empowerment. And on the other hand, we have to give ownership to the local places. So I do think and do believe that this combination of research and working with local people and local practitioners is the step ahead for an even better world for our children in the Arctic.
Hi, my name is Emily Hoppy. I'm a graduate student in environmental assessment and research assistant to the Network on Children in the Arctic. Up until now, the activities of the network have included promoting research projects and education on children and young people in the Arctic, especially Indigenous children, organizing research training in research on children and youth in the Arctic, promoting collaboration between universities conducting research on and with children and youth in the Arctic, disseminating scientific knowledge on children and youth in the Arctic achieved through teaching at universities and through the publication of a book on the research, and furthermore through articles in international peer-reviewed journals, as well as organizing annual conferences of researchers doing research on child and youth well-being in the Arctic. These events have provided an opportunity for collaboration between groups of academics, community members, leaders, and otherwise from many different disciplines and backgrounds. They have involved the presentation of research as well as feedback, discussion, and listening, helping contribute to multidisciplinary partnerships and research with and for community members. The network will continue with these various activities in order to help fulfill its objectives and overall goal moving forward.
Future plans of the network are to promote cross-Arctic research together with children and young people, especially indigenous children. Organize research education at PhD and postdoc levels. Promote collaboration between Arctic universities. Disseminate scientific knowledge. Organize conferences for researchers and practitioners. Sustain and expand the cooperation with indigenous organizations, institutions, and communities. Support the right to self-determination for indigenous peoples in a framework of social justice and sustainability. Promote the rights of the child. The network will encourage research and higher education that support the priorities and needs of the circumpolar regions in an ongoing dialogue between global science and traditional and local knowledge. It will strongly support research that includes the voices of children and families and sees every indigenous child as a dignified, curious, contributing, and engaged participant in building a safe, respectful, collaborative, and viable development in the Arctic.